my name is Michaela and you're watching FunsizedStyle. For today's video, it's going to be yet another health update. About a month ago, I filmed a pretty, not big, but a health update about some things that were going on. With these health updates, I encourage you to watch the most updated, or to watch the previous ones first before you watch this most current one, because I recapped the previous health update a little bit, but not the entirety, obviously, because I would be like filming the same video twice. They go in order and things change, so if you don't watch the previous episodes, I guess, or videos, then some of this stuff won't really make sense, or you won't really understand what I'm talking about. In the previous health update, let me first preface by saying that one of the reasons that I make these videos, and that not just like these videos as in my videos on YouTube in general, but more specifically my health updates, is for a few reasons. One is because I have a lot of nursing students and just people in the medical field that watch my videos, or that are soon to be in the medical field, or that want to be in the medical field. And I think that it's really, really important to have a human perspective on what the patient is really going through from their perspective, because it's one thing for a medical professional to treat a patient and diagnose them and help them get through whatever health challenge they're dealing with, whether it be chronically or temporarily. I think that it's really important to and I think it's becoming more and more humanizing the healthcare industry. Obviously humanizing as in taking care of humans, it's obviously always been that way, but really sharing I'm a real person, this is what I'm going through and this is my daily life, by sharing how, and I think different things affect different people differently. My perspective on some things that I'm going to be talking about today, and as you can tell from the title, some unexpected things, may be different than another patient's. I think the healthcare industry as a whole lacks a lot of compassion, but I also seen healthcare professionals that are beyond compassionate and go above and beyond. But I'm just saying as a whole, I think that it's becoming more, not becoming more, but it's a very rubber stamp quote business. I think people forget that healthcare and the health of someone's body is their real life, and it affects sometimes their daily life. And we come to healthcare professionals to help us, quote, get back on our feet or improve our quality of life, whatever we may be dealing with. And God uses these people to do that. I just really do it to educate people and any healthcare professional or soon-to-be healthcare professional about my experiences, and a lot of things that I deal with medically are more rare. Osteogenesis imperfecta is extremely rare, and most people have not heard of osteogenesis imperfecta if they don't know someone personally or know of someone that has it. Or they'll say, yeah, I know what it is, and that brittle bone disease. It goes beyond that, and you guys know I mentioned this in a few of my videos, but I hate the term brittle bone disease because A, it's not even correct terminology, and B, it just sounds awful when you say it like that, brittle bone disease. It sounds horrifying, and it's really not that bad, at least from my experience. Childhood was really, really, really hard, but it does get easier as you get older. I still wouldn't trade those experiences or trade my life circumstances now. I truly love the life that I live, and I wouldn't trade it with anyone without a physical disability, because I know I mention this often, but this is something that's so important to me, and that's the people that I've met and the opportunities that I've had because of my disability is something that I would not take away, that I would not trade for anything in the world. But I also do these videos as a reminder to you guys that hey, I'm going through hard things too, but it's okay. And I think it's also because the things that I deal with are more rare, my hope in putting these things out there is for maybe that one person that is looking for somebody to relate to, or is looking for information on whatever I'm going to be talking about today. And in fact, myself, one of the things that I'm talking to you guys about today, I actually went to YouTube as well to see if anybody else with osteogenesis imperfecta had made a video about their experience with it. They haven't. There's very, very little personal experience talked about online with this new condition that I've been diagnosed with, or that was been discovered unexpectedly. To note, that also reminded me of like why I put this out there, because, you know, being a influencer myself, like I still go to YouTube myself for experiences, new experiences that I'm going through, to look for somebody that I can relate to, or somebody that has gone through this, so I can know what that experience is like, or know what to expect, or what's ahead. And there wasn't any video. There was a few medical videos, but it was all like deep medical language I couldn't understand. There was not a single video that I found of somebody like me, just like, or anybody, not even like me, but anybody just sitting down and like talking about it in human terms. I just like to share. Education is really, really important to me. Education about other people's personal experiences gives people a new perspective on things, and maybe makes them think a little bit differently about perceptions that they had about those things. But this was a lot longer than I anticipated before I even get into this video, but I just wanted to mention that I'm not naive, that this is not normal to like go on here and just share all these health details, especially in a culture of HIPAA, you know, like, oh, we need to keep our health information private. And like, I mean, I do keep some of it private, but for the most part, it's out there. So I guess we'll go ahead and get into some things that I've discovered recently, an update on the previous health update, and kind of what's next. There have been not a lot, but a few things that have come up that I was not expecting, like whatsoever. And yeah, I'll get into that later. But the first thing that I want to talk about or update you guys on is last month I told you I was having an MRI with general anesthesia because in order, as you guys know, I'm headed to New York to see a world-renowned spine specialist to see if there are any absolute last resorts to save my spine from curving anymore. In order, I have an appointment, all of that you can see my scoliosis playlist. But as a requirement to be a patient, one of the things that you have to bring with you to the appointment is an MRI of your spine within the last 6 months to a year, I think. And I've never had a spinal MRI. And if you want to know why of any of that, scoliosis playlist. The plan was for me to have this MRI with general anesthesia for a variety of reasons. Well, not a variety. The main reason being my generalized anxiety disorder. Talk a little bit about that in the previous health update as well, of why that causes so severe that I would need general anesthesia for a simple thing like MRI. That's one thing that I just don't like talking about a lot. I've mentioned about it a little bit. I'm not ashamed of it or anything. Like, there's nothing that I can do about it, but it's just that I just don't like talking about it. It's funny because with that, like, you would think the biggest cause for me would be like big events, like MRI, X-ray, or CT scan is like what triggers it the most for me, to the point where I will like uncontrollably start shaking and collapse like off of the imaging table. Like, it's really bad. Or like I feel like I'll start like jolting. Anyways, we're not gonna talk about that because I just don't like talking about it. But anyways, that is why I thought, and my team thought, that I would need this with general anesthesia. It was December 4th, 3rd or 4th. We go to the MRI with general anesthesia. I go up to pre-op, and 2 of my closest friends came with me to be my medical advocate in case I would be unable to speak for myself. My mom was unable to be present, and my dad isn't a medical advocate. That's not what he's comfortable with, and he's just the kind of person like that doesn't question medical person. I'm different about that. My philosophy is nobody knows you better than yourself, and medical professionals are humans, and they don't know everything. I asked 2 of my closest friends to be my medical advocate because I feel as though whenever you go under general anesthesia, especially when you have multiple pre-existing conditions such as myself. It's important to do that. It's just the responsible thing to do so that you can be in the best hands possible for anything that may come up. But mind you, I've never had an issue with general anesthesia, thankfully. So I wasn't too worried about it, but again, it's just being prepared, because it's one of those things where the one time you're not prepared, it would happen, kind of thing. So they came, and like we were in pre-op, and I think it was the nurse. Was it the nurse? Or it might have been like the head like lady that was gonna be like in the MRI room. I don't remember like what her title was, but she was like, "Hey, somebody canceled, and we'd like to try it without general anesthesia, if that's okay," because we had time to like prep and like do things, like just take our time doing it in case things went wrong. I was just like, I don't know about that, because again, if you want to know why it triggers that, go check my previous health update. I don't want to keep repeating that because it's just not something I'm comfortable with, like keep repeating. She was really encouraging me without, because my eyes are not invasive and it would involve me being intubated, and I guess I didn't realize that it was difficult to get intubated. I guess it's difficult to be, not difficult like for the actual tube to go like down my throat, but to like maneuver it within the MRI machine and like try to take all my vitals and stuff while this is happening. I mean, it could be done like if, you know, it was like I couldn't do it, like I was like felt like I was dying kind of thing. I was like, I don't know. I was like, okay, I don't even know, like, what made me say, like, okay. I was just like, okay, so after a while, we talked about it, and I just was like, okay, I'll try it. And so we went to the radiology department, and I had to have an IV, because originally they thought I was gonna need contrast. They put like fluids in you throughout the whole MRI before, at least that's what they did to me, to prepare me for the contrast halfway through. Because either way, if I was sedated or not, like I would still need the IV. Oh, and it's really weird because like I said, you would think like big things like IVs, surgeries, stuff like that would like cause me the most. But for me, like IVs don't faze me, like not like, it's weird. But we talked about it, and I like saw the MRI table, and I just like started bawling, which was like so embarrassing. I was like so frightened, like I've never had an MRI, and I already don't like x-rays and CT scans, and like this is even longer, and you're even like, I was like, oh shoot, like I can't do this. But they were like really encouraging with me and really patient with me, and it's embarrassing because it's not difficult. I hate that it triggers so much fear within me uncontrollably. Like I can't control it, like once it's that far gone. And so I just started crying, and my two friends were still there. I was like, okay, I'll try it. So I got on the bed, and like I have to get out of my wheelchair, obviously for the MRI, but also to get on the bed before you go into the MRI room, because it's like, you know, well, magnetic, whatever. I get on the bed, and like they transfer me to the table, and they make it like a bed. So because there's certain things that like I can't do because of like certain pain points, and I have to be positioned in a way that like the way that my anatomy is, and like my scoliosis in my neck, or lack of, if I'm not at least popped up a little bit, I can't get proper airflow. And usually with an MRI, especially spinal, you have to be pretty flat. But they were able to get my head up to where my back was still flat enough, but where I could get airflow. They even put like sheepskin on the bed. They had blankets. I had like all these blankets underneath me, so I was like nice and compact. So when you're in the machine, you have to have like this, it's almost like a back brace, but for the top of you. So like a turtle shell over you to like protect you from, I don't know, whatever. They got me all in there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing this. And then one of the things they offered me was to watch a movie while you do that. And I thought, like, this sounds stupid that like I'm like agreeing to watch a movie, do this, but I'm gonna do everything I can to like make this doable. And like, mind you, I'm making it sound like it was so agreeable to this, and like it went smooth, but like it did not go so smooth at first. There were tears, and I was like, I'm so sorry, like I don't know why this stuff is so hard for me, like I'm sorry, like I kept apologizing. It was just embarrassing because I'm 21 and this is hard. So I picked Elf to watch. It was Christmas time, so I picked the Elf movie to watch. And then, so when you're in the tube, there's like an opening that also triggers it, is when I'm in these testing areas like MRI, CT scan, x-ray is like being alone, like not having anybody by me. But like I'm in the tube, so like nobody can like hold my hand. But like I had these rails and like the turtle shell thing that I could hold on to. I really liked that was like over me, so it was like buckled over me, and it made me feel safe. And I was like, I do not know, like while this was happening, like I was like, I don't know how I'm even getting the strength to do this, like getting this far. And so anyways, what I was getting at is one of the things that triggers it for me is like being alone, like in a, like being like CAT scan, x-ray, in this case MRI, being alone, but obviously like with the magnetic whatever, and like I'm in the tube, they can like hold my hand or whatever. Since I had like things to hold on to and like be like, what do they call that, like grounding, I, you know, it was okay, but I still didn't like being alone. But there's the opening, so one of my closest friends, Sarah, that was there, I was like, can you, because they offered like, do you want one of your friends to like sit on the open end so that you can see them and like talk to them during the breaks? And I was like, yeah, that would be great. And like as I'm explaining to you this on camera, like this is embarrassing to talk about. The reality of it, this kind of thing is more difficult for me. It is more difficult to deal with for me than my physical disability. Without a doubt, 120%. I was like, yeah, definitely. So Sarah came in and like, we have to wait. So she sat, so there's like the TV, and they put like this mirror over you so you can like see the TV, while you're laying there. You have to wear earbuds and headphones, noise canceling headphones. You can't wear one or the other because the machines are that loud. And I have quite significant hearing loss in my right ear, so it was still pretty loud, but it wasn't like overbearing. Obviously I had the earbuds and the noise canceling headphones on. Like you have to wear them to protect your ears. But Sarah had to wear them too because it wasn't in the machine obviously, but she was so close to it that like it's really, really loud. She's such a trooper. Like it took an hour, so they thought it was gonna take an hour and a half, but they didn't end up needing needing to do contrast, because depending on like their scanning or like what they're looking for, you may or may not need contrast. A lot of times they won't know until they like are halfway through the scan, or at least start the scan. So she sat there with me and like was like just so that I could like see her and like know that like I wasn't alone. Like was a huge, because I had things to like hold on to and like lay on, and so like it was like a bed and I could like see her, so I knew I wasn't alone. And I know they give you the panic button, but like that wasn't really enough for me. I wanted like to see somebody, like have somebody by me, whatever. At this point, like I'm pretty comfortable. I know that somehow God got me through that. I just felt this overwhelming amount of strength as they were putting me into the MRI scanner tube thing, and like when they were, after I got all hooked up with the gear, when they pressed the button to like put me in the tube, and I saw Sarah at the other end and the TV was on, and I just felt this overwhelming amount of strength that I didn't know I had, that I didn't know that I could do. He gave me all the tools that I absolutely needed to have it done. Like I needed to have it be like a bed, not a hard table. I needed those soft things and to be able to breathe properly and have somebody with me. And like those weren't like some of the non-negotiables of like how we could make this work, so it didn't go haywire. And he gave me those things, and so after that I just felt this overwhelming amount of strength of like, I'm doing this, like holy crap. Like this whole time I was like, I think I told Sarah like a bunch of times, like I can't believe I'm doing this, like no sedatives, no anti-anxiety meds, nothing. I didn't even need to press the panic button once. Again, that strength that I felt, I was still, the anxiety crept in once in a while, but once it did, I would like reposition during the breaks, and it would like subside a little bit, and I just kept looking at Sarah and like talking to her during the breaks, and just trying to like get through this. And I just can't explain it, like the strength that God gave me during that time. It was strength I didn't know I had, and it was one of the most traumatizing and scary and overwhelming things I've ever done. I did it. It was only the strength that God gave me that got me, and the tools that he gave me with his friends, and understanding medical staff, all the pillows and blankets to keep me safe. To this day, I still don't know. I mean, I know it was God's strength that he gave me to do that, but it was like so hard for me to fathom, to know how, I mean, not hard for me to fathom how good God is, but to know like, how did I do that? Like the way that I felt, like if you don't struggle with panic attacks or anxiety, you don't, for me they come on like so randomly, unless it's like a known trigger. And what I was doing that day was like my only known trigger. Everything else we don't know what causes it, because I don't have like certain things that, I don't have other certain things that cause. So if you don't know what it's, I hope you never do, but if you don't know what it's like to feel the way you feel, and like you feel like you're gonna pass out, you feel like you don't, it's traumatizing. And I can't believe how I felt while I was in there. I was like, I'm doing this, like, this is crazy. I did it without general anesthesia, and it was only through God's grace and the tools and the friends that He gave me to be there, be able to do this. What I was really surprised about also is how warm it gets in there. Like, I'm usually like a pretty warm person. Like, I sleep with a fan on in the middle of winter, and like it gets really, really hot in those MRI machines. Towards the end, I was like so glad to not only get out of there, but like it was toasty in there. I was also really nervous too for that, because at the time, like before we were halfway through with the MRI, I didn't know if I would need contrast. I have so many medication allergies that like I've never had contrast before, so I was worried that like I was gonna have this anaphylactic reaction to the contrast. Like, I was just nervous for that, and for like how they would respond to that if I would have had like some kind of like anaphylactic. I've never had anaphylaxis, but something as like foreign as like contrast, I didn't know how my body would react. They said like they were prepared, but we didn't end up needing the contrast. What was really helpful too is the girl that did it, that like did this game, like performed it, like she was talking me through it the whole time. She would say like it didn't even feel like an hour, like, because they would say like, okay, this image is 2 minutes, this one is 12 minutes, this one is 9 minutes. Like, they give you segments, so it's like they give you an estimate of like how long the entire scan is going to take. So when they give you those segments, it's like, okay, only this many more minutes to go, this many more minutes, and it's something that I didn't know I would be able to do, and it was only through the strength that God gave me to do that. And it was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. It was one of my most embarrassing hospital times, just because something like that shouldn't be that difficult for somebody, but for me it is. But even still, like, something not, like, you would think anesthesia would freak me out. You would think that like IVs freak me out. But again, like, those things don't faze me. But I'm grateful for Sarah and Morgan that were there with me to cheer me on and to just literally like be there. I wanted to let you guys know I witnessed again how God always provides. That was the first thing. I got the MRI done, and I was like, the weight that I felt off of my shoulders after getting out of that machine was like so amazing. And also I was so hungry because I was NPO, because we thought I was gonna have general anesthesia, so I was so hungry. We got up at like 5 in the morning because we had to be there like 7:30 because it was scheduled for general anesthesia, so I thought it was gonna like take a really long time, and it didn't. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I had the MRI and CT scan done at the Children's Hospital, where I still get a lot of my care, even though I've transferred one of my providers is transferred to adult clinic because they can't treat adults, but most of my stuff is still at the pediatric hospital, because like, for example, the MRI and the CT scan at the adult hospital doesn't register my weight properly. Like, I don't weigh enough for the MRI machine or the CAT scan machine to like register correct results. So a lot of my care I still have to go to the pediatric hospital for. Part of that, before the MRI scan, I had the CT scan as well for my hearing bones, because I mentioned that we were doing another scan, because when I went to my appointment with my otolaryngologist to figure out why I'm still having pain nearly a year later, and it's only getting worse. But there was nothing like that she could see to the eye that was wrong. She ordered a CT of my head, specifically my hearing bones, but also like my head and my neck, and just like trying to figure out what's going on. CT scans are really quick. I would honestly say that was probably harder than the MRI, because it wasn't as like comfortable. I received the results from that like so quick. I received it like a day or two later. My surgeon called me personally because they know like I'm having this extensive amount of pain, so she called me personally with the results. Basically everything looks good except when the bone from the mastoidectomy surgery that I had healed. It healed in a funky way. It didn't heal. The bone didn't form back properly. It formed into like a weird shape, it didn't form back correct, which I thought was interesting because I've never had issues with healing. I mean, it's healed, but the way that it healed, the bone is like, it's hard to, like, I can't show you because I don't have like a picture or anything, but the bone is like sharp, like it's pointed. And so it's like rubbing against the nerves behind my ear bone, like where the surgery was. So, and your facial nerves and your hearing bones have some of the most nerves. It's something like, so picture like something sharp in your ear basically. And like, even though mine is just bone, at this point, like everything from the surgery is perfect, the bone is like sharp now. And you would think like normally they would choose to just leave it because it's a cosmetic thing usually, but for me, it's causing like extensive pain. The only way that they can do that is to redo the mastoidectomy. That's where they have to go into the skull behind the ear bone, do the surgery over again basically. So they don't have to like clear anything out or remove any more hearing bone, but they have to go into the same part of the skull behind the ear, shave down the bone so that it's not sharp anymore. We're really, really hoping that this helps because other than that, the CT scan looks perfect from a hearing perspective. I healed beautifully other than that from the surgery and actually more open than previous. I widened my eustachian tube and cleared out the old hearing bones that were, not old, but like the hearing bones that were eaten away. And an old ear tube was in there and everything's really open. And so the good news about this is she would like to try to insert the artificial hearing bones again. And what I mean by again, she tried when I originally had the surgery to begin with because she wanted to try to save my hearing because it's really, really, really bad on the right side. That's why I have the hearing aid. I was like, so that was her hope. But I got the hearing aid after all because she wasn't able to do that because of my anatomy at the time with the hearing bones and trying to fit them in and get them in properly. However, things look even more open and there's more space. Be able to do that now that the healing is complete. So we would like to try that again. And I find that to be awesome. I was not expecting that part of it at all. And so I think that that is really good news. We're very cautiously optimistic because we know that more likely than not it won't work because of my anatomy, but because it's more open, she said there's definitely a chance. It's worth trying. With these artificial hearing bones, the hope is that if she's able to implant them, is that I would regain hearing, which would be a huge blessing because I'm having a lot of problems getting the hearing aid adjusted and to stay in. We're gonna fix the hearing aid better if it doesn't work, but in the meantime, I don't want to pay the money to like have this extensive appointment if I'm able to get the hearing restored through the surgery. And again, the only reason that we're attempting this again is because I'm gonna be under general anesthesia anyway. Also part of that, every time a mastoidectomy is performed, they have to use a special monitor. It's gonna be like a group of people monitoring this special monitor during the surgery that detects facial nerve function. And you operate in the mastoid bone in the skull. It controls your facial nerves. That's a risk every time you have something like this. It's very rare, but it is a risk. And the facial paralysis can be temporary or permanent. However, the way things are progressing downhill, the benefits outweigh the risk of this. And I did not incur facial paralysis last time, obviously, but again, since we're attempting it again, and those nerves are going to be bothered again, it is another risk. There's going to be a group of people that will be monitoring the monitor or whatever. They're going to hook up to my face to make sure that all goes swimmingly. So if you guys would just pray that that part of it goes well, really appreciate it. But the other part of this is that my orthopedic surgeon, who I speak so highly of all the time, came in during the surgery because they were afraid to move me to the operating table. And if you guys don't know, my orthopedic surgeon does research in OI, and she's the OI specialist at this hosptal. She's amazing. Otolaryngology team was super nervous to maneuver me on the operating table after I told them all the things that they couldn't do to maneuver me. So that day they were looking for somebody that was like familiar with me, and she happened to be in the OR next to us. Well, they appreciated that so much that they want her to be present during that again. The surgery involved coordinating between 2 surgeons, which is really, really difficult when you have to wait long for surgery anyways. So I'm actually not having the surgery until March 30th. The scan was done the first week of December. So I've had to wait December, January, February, March. I'm counting all of March because surgery is March 30th. So 4 months, which is a bummer because I'm in pain, but it's bearable. Like, I've experienced much worse pain, but the reason that I want to go through with the surgery is because it is frequent enough to where, like, hey, if this can be resolved, that would really, really improve my quality and happiness of life. So I'm so grateful that to be there and be present and help them maneuver me safely on the operating table. And I think part of this as well, because of where they have to operate, involves maneuvering my neck. They have to shave some of my hair and like move my neck to like be able to reach back there and operate. I think the neck portion of the maneuvering really freaks them out. So I think that's also why she wants my OI specialist, who's known me for 12 years, to be present. I'm really grateful to her to do that and be willing to be there, and that we were able to coordinate. Though it's Operation Stay Healthy right now. You guys know I was sick right after Christmas, but the cutoff of like when you're able to be sick is 6 weeks before surgery, and I'm still like 70-some days out. But once we hit the 42-day mark, it's like Operation Stay Healthy. That is the update on that. I'm going to be going in for another surgery, so it'll be my 24th surgery, which is crazy. There's really no results about the MRI. It's just showing that like I have scoliosis, and just the MRIs are a lot more precise than CT scans, so I really don't know what they're looking for with the MRI because I already sent them x-rays. I don't know. So I basically just have to pick that up and take it with me to the appointment. So the last part of this explanation or health update has to do with the title and unexpected CT scan results. Not MRI, but CT scan results. And I wanted to talk about the first 2 things that I talked about in the beginning because those were the quickest and like easiest to explain, and they were just like, even though this video is already so long, believe it or not, this will probably be even more difficult and longer to explain. So I had the CT scan of my head and my neck and my hearing bones and all of these things to check why I was having that pain a year post-op, and it keeps getting worse. And that's what we were looking for. That's why I had the CT scan. We weren't looking for anything to be wrong with my head or my neck, but when you do like a head CT scan, all of these things, and like it scans your whole head. Like, I mean, you can do just a hearing bone thing, but usually they do both images. So they'll do just the hearing bones, and then I think they're called the temporal bones, and then they'll do like an overall just head CT scan so they can see what it looks like as a whole, as far as shape and anatomy and things like that. And so we weren't looking for any other issues neurologically or, like I said, goal-based or with my neck. This CT scan was strictly for hearing issues, nothing else. Hearing bone issues, nothing else. We had no other concerns. No, that was it. So my surgeon called me with the results of the CT scan related to that. And of course I told you what she had said when I read the written report. So a lot of times, I'm sure you guys probably use this too, but hospitals now, especially like university hospitals, have patient portals where you can go on and do your test results or like your after appointment notes that your doctor writes, things like that. You can refill prescriptions, just like it's really nice. I love using the patient portal. I hate talking on the phone, especially to medical personnel, so I shouldn't say especially, yeah, I guess it depends who it is. So that's really nice, and so I got the notification that the results were in because of I'm signed up with the patient portal. So whenever you have a new test result like come in, they send you a notification. And so I read like the written report. The written report is all that medical jargon. So the part of the hearing of the bone not healing properly was a lot more complicatedly worded than that. With my medical background of all the things that I've dealt with in the past, I'm pretty up on medical jargon and lingo. I didn't read the written report until I just saw that I got the notification. So I like asked her if somebody from her office could call me, and she was the one that called me. So I didn't want to read the written report till she called me and we could talk it through, so I didn't psych myself out or like think something was something else when it wasn't. I don't know, I just didn't want, so I didn't even open the written report. I just saw that I received the notification. After I ended the call with my otolaryngologist, I just like opened up the written report and, I opened up the written report and it said like all this, I'm not gonna like insert it, it's like not necessary information to share, but it had all the medical jargon of like head circumference, blah blah blah, just like all this lingo about my skull, my head and brain, whatever. I don't know what was all scanned. The words at the bottom is what caught my eye. So, and I understood these two words, and it said mild and I understood these two words, and it said mild basilar impression. And I was shocked. My otolaryngologist did not bring this up because when you have a scan for a specific issue with a specific doctor, you don't go over every little bit because maybe it could be a past issue you already know about, it's from your past, whatever. And she's an otolaryngologist, not an orthopedic surgeon or neurosurgeon. And so we were just strictly talking and looking for there was a why we got the scan, which is hearing related. On the written report, I had seen basilar impression, and basically what that is, it's the start of basilar invagination. Basilar, I don't know. Invagination. And if you guys remember a couple years ago when I did my video of what is osteogenesis imperfecta, I talked about how I did not have basilar invagination. Basilar, I don't know. You should probably learn how to pronounce it. I feel like basilar, because like base of your skull. So basilar, I don't know. Invagination is where your skull, or your spine, let me pull up the correct definition, but the spine starts to go up into the skull base. It's very, very common in osteogenesis imperfecta type 3. More than half, I've heard a statistic that more than half of people with osteogenesis type 3 have basilar imagination or basilar impression. And basically it is where the spine starts to go up into the skull base. And as you guys will know, I don't have much of a neck anymore. It has compressed a lot, and that is just natural with type 3. With type C, I don't think you guys ever seen my neck before, but I do have somewhat of a neck. When I was younger, I did have more of a neck. Definitely see the progression of that. That's never really concerned me because I know that that's natural with type 3. And just because your neck looks like mine or lack of neck looks like mine does not mean that you have basilar imagination or impression. It does not mean that, so necessarily. So definitely talk to your doctor. I was screened for this about 13 years ago because when I switched to the OI specialist that I have now, one of the requirements is of you being a patient of hers is that she screens her patients with type 3 for this condition. That's just a part of OI that is important to her to protect her patients from. And I screened for that and I didn't have it. So I was under the impression that I would never get it. I thought that was something that because it had to do with the spine going up into the skull base. I thought your spine is either there, up in there, or it's not. I didn't know that it was something that could progress over time. This happens gradually, but again, just because you have a neck anatomy like mine does not mean that you have this condition. But I want to give you guys the proper definition. Basilar imagination is a condition in which a vertebrae at the top of the spine moves up and back towards the base of the skull. In this abnormal position, the bone may compress the brainstem and spinal cord. I know it sounds really scary, and it is scary actually. Yeah, if I would have read the written results, it probably never would have gotten brought up to me because I never, I just thought I was fine from it. I have a few things that I deal with that I never knew were symptoms of this for quite a few years now, which I'll talk about in a minute. I want to give you guys the definition of what I have currently. So my understanding is that basilar impression and basilar imagination are the different, but I can't tell if it seems so similar to me, so I don't know if basilar impression is the start of BI, well they're both BI, but basilar imagination, which is like the more severe, and within all of these three different areas, there are different severities of it. So basilar impression is a skeletal malformation characterized by translocation of the upper cervical spine and clivus, I don't know, see, this is why I can't be a doctor, into the foramen magnum, giving rise to various symptoms related to brainstem, upper spinal cord, and cerebellar compression. Okay, so it's basically the same thing. Because I was not aware that you could get this over time, I was shocked to see this on the scan. I don't know how long I've had this. It's never appeared in the notes of any other CT scan I've had, but I haven't looked. I never looked. I don't want to know how long I've had it, because some things, just ignorance is bliss. Sometimes this is something that I thought I was in the clear from, and I remember in that video I said, I'm so grateful because I'll be honest in saying that I've dealt with a lot of different things and a lot of random things, but this is the one that I never wanted to have. Thought that I was free from that and that I was in the clear from that. And actually, before I say, obviously I know that I have it now, but I sent the T-scan, I sent a screenshot of the script of where I read that it described that I had that basilar imagination or basilar impression was discovered to my OI specialist, because like I said, I was shoot, I better tell her about this because I know it's a huge deal to her to protect her patients from this. Also, I just wanted to get confirmation and not just assume by reading the CT scan results that oh, I have BI. I want a professional to from that and me not thinking or saying incorrect information. So I sent that over to her and just said hey, can you look at the CT scan to see if, I have this or if it was incorrectly read. She told me that I do have it and that I need to get connected with a neurosurgeon. With all the other details that I have going on, this was a real shock to me, and it's nothing major right now. I even asked her how bad is it, because in the written it says mild, but mild for BI could be I don't know, I don't know. This is one area that I'm not super educated on because I was I don't have it, I am in the clear. And at one point I didn't have it. I got screened for it, I didn't have it. So it's developed sometime between then and now. That you're fine, you're completely fine. I mean, you're not fine as in you don't have BI, you do have BI. But you're fine, it's not, I want you to get connected with a neurosurgeon though, and I want you to get this checked out. She knows that it can be dangerous. I'm not in the danger zone by any means. And this, I was just diagnosed with this. It was just discovered. Again, we are going to be back at old scans that I've had and seeing how long it has progressed, or if it has progressed at any point, or if it's kind of stayed stable. It was just sudden. And it's not, I'm making this up sound like a bigger deal than it is. Like, yes, it's not good for your spine to be going up into your skull. It's very common, and it's very, you know, there's treatment for it if necessary, but it's not the ideal treatment because it does have to do with the neck, and anything relating to the neck can be very dangerous. So the reason I think also that this not shakes me up, but makes me want to be proactive about it is because I've had 3 people that I know with a lot that had BI, and they knew they had it, and they did not address it, or they thought that their team thought it wasn't severe enough to address at the time. I'm not really sure which one it was, but I know it wasn't addressed for whatever reason. They passed away because of a freak fall. One I know fell out of bed, and then the other one fell from their wheelchair. I'm very uneducated about this condition. I shouldn't say I'm very uneducated, but I don't know at what level. I have so many questions for the neurosurgeon. I don't know at what level treatment is considered, and I know it's probably by case basis, but also looking at what does this look like in the future, because I'm a person that, I know that God is in control and there's a purpose for this, but I also know that He wants me to be proactive and do my part as well. People think yes, God takes care of you and God is in control and He has a plan and purpose for your life, but it's also not I'm gonna jump off a cliff because God's just gonna save me. He wants you to use the brain and use the body that God gave you and that He gave you and take care of it. According to what I know for now, unless it's a complete misdiagnosis, which it does not seem like it at this point, I do have BI and I'm going to be seeing a neurosurgeon. So I talked to my OA specialist and she connected me with the best neurosurgeon, the absolute top neurosurgeon at the Children's Hospital, actually. So I mentioned that some of the care that I receive will still be at the Children's Hospital due to a variety of reasons. I was so grateful that she got me the best of the best. She said, I want you to go with this neurosurgeon that I work with. He's known as the top neurosurgeon at this hospital, which makes me feel really good. And he knows all about BI, obviously, that's one of his specialties. My OA specialist actually she asked me if it would be okay if she accompanies me to the appointment. And I think that speaks volumes about what an awesome healthcare team that I have, because I didn't ask her to do this, but she knows the importance of this, of at least getting it checked out. Our hope is that he will say, yes, you have it, but it's just something that we need to watch. I did not ask her once she found out that I had this when I sent her the report, and she looked at it. She's offered to accompany me to this appointment so that I would have a team approach, because he is a neurosurgeon. His specialty is BI, and he does a variety of other neurological conditions, but BI is one of his top things. And then he knows about OI, and he's very knowledgeable about it, because BI is so common in type 3 OI, but he's not an OI specialist. So that's where my OI specialist comes into this, and she wants me to have that team approach, especially because she knows me well and has known me for 12 years and knows what works for me. Just like I said, protecting her patients from the potential fears or risks of BI is really, really important to her. Is when she sent over the referral, I received a call from the neurosurgery department, and this was 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago that I received this call to schedule the appointment. So I had to coordinate with my OI specialist what days of the week she'd be free coming, and we were able to coordinate it super easily, actually. The thing that not worries me, I guess puts me on alert, is usually at this hospital I've seen dozens of those other specialists at this hospital, and I've always had a 2 to 3 month wait until I get in to see a new specialist. Always, every single time. I've never not had a specialist where I've had less than a 2 to 3 month wait to get a new patient appointment. They called me and they were how about January 30th? And at that time that they called me, it was less than a month away. Being that he is the top neurosurgeon, and on the call they did, or not warn me, but just like prepare me and saying that I would be waiting up to an hour for him because they have to book so many patients because he is the top neurosurgeon at this point. I was shocked that I got an appointment with the top neurosurgeon in less than a month. And that really confuses me. I'm gonna ask more questions about that as well. If there's like kind of urgency. My guess is not. I'm guessing I just got lucky. Yeah, so that really puts me just on edge if there's like something that needs to be addressed, which I doubt it. If I've had it this long, you know, like what's another few months? If I wouldn't have had that CT scan, we would have known about it anyways. That's coming up. This in a couple days. I am nervous just because I have a lot of questions, but I'm also just relieved that, you know, maybe this was a sign that, you know, everything happens for a reason, and if I would have healed correctly from the surgery, I would not have needed another CAT scan. And who knows, I would not have found it. A lot of my other friends found theirs on accident too, and a lot of my friends that have this, they just wait. Their teams have suggested they wait, obviously because you don't want to do anything with the neck if you don't have to because it's not safe. A lot of them just have to get MRIs every couple of years or every year to check on it. She at least wants me to get established with the pediatric neurosurgeon so that we can become established so that, God forbid, if whatever, like, I had an issue with it, he would already become aware of this. I hope that, you know, we come up with a plan that is safe and smart and timely in the fact that, like, we don't rush anything, but we also, like, don't chalk it up with, like, oh, as long as you don't hit your head, you'll be fine. Nobody plans on falling or like hitting your head. And that's what caused my friends to pass away. Theirs was like 3 times as more severe as mine. The other thing too, like I don't know if it's something that they'll want to take care of before it gets too severe. I'm very uneducated about this condition, so I just have a lot of questions. Hopefully they'll all be answered this week. And I heard flawless things about him from everyone that I've talked to. That really encourages me too. And I know that there's a purpose for this. It'll all work out. But I would be lying to you guys if I said that it's the one thing that I never wanted to have. But we'll work through it just like I have everything else. One thing I do want to, I mentioned that I deal with some things that add up. BI apparently that I didn't know add up to BI or symptoms because I'm very uneducated and I was told I didn't have this like 12 years ago and I was unaware that it was something that you could develop, and I guess I should have, I don't know, should have, would have, could have, but I deal with a lot of vertigo episodes, so when I tilt my head, lay down, or sit up and lay down, or lay down and sit up, I get really dizzy. They're really short episodes, but I get really, really dizzy. So, and that's a thing of BI, kind of headaches, like in the back of my head, like I always have some level of head pain. It's not major, I don't take Tylenol, nothing, but it's always there. It never leaves. It's kind of increased like within the past 2 or 3 years, but I mean, I've dealt with so many other things like, okay, I have a headache and like it's fine. So I think those 2 things maybe prompted them to get this checked out. But again, just because you have those 2 things does not mean you have BI, does not mean you need to see a neurosurgeon. I'm just sharing my experience. So if you have any questions about that, those aren't for me to answer, but there's my experience. But so that was definitely a shock, and I was not expecting another diagnosis. And I will update you guys on Thursday. Well, I probably will do a video the next day. That video will be pretty short. The reason that it can become severe is because the neck instability due to your spine going up into your skull. It causes your neck to become unstable. Something to not take lightly. It's just something to be proactive about. And everybody's plan is different. But that's it for this health update. I will keep you guys posted on the neurosurgery appointment. I'm really grateful for a team that is wanting to support me through this. And we'll just get it figured out and we'll just get established and say, hey, here I am. This is what I have. Hopefully I don't need to see you, but if I do, you're here kind of thing. Yeah, if you guys have any other questions, I feel like I left out a whole bunch of stuff. It's a lot of heavy stuff. There's a lot of little details, that's the thing. Little details, but I'm really, because I have so many questions, I know that they'll be answered this Thursday. So like glad that it's soon, but it's also like, why is it so soon? But we'll get all the answers. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's probably boring for some of you, but I also know some of you are very interested. I guess that's it for this video, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. Thank you guys so much for all your love, support, and prayers. Yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. Everything. It's a lot of details post on Instagram, so I'll probably just do like a link to this video on Instagram or something because it's a lot. But yeah, that's it, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for all your love and prayers throughout all of this and so many details. And I know you guys are going through your own thing too, and know that I'm thinking and praying for you guys as well. And just keep on keeping on, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye!